The most controversial, I believe, of the President-elect's nominees, certainly on the environmental side, is Attorney General from Oklahoma, Scott Pruitt, to head the EPA. I mean, there has been a pattern, I believe, of Trump choosing people who oppose the very mission of a department to head it.
Rick Perry said he was going to abolish the Department of Energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Betsy DeVos has been the enemy of public education. She's named to head the Department of Education. Scott Pruitt has sued EPA more than anybody else on the planet, I guess, and now he's nominated to be the administrator of EPA.
Yeah, and we have great
His
concerns.
hearing is, I
it's
think,
today. It's 10 o'clock today.
Yeah.
And and I think we just want to make sure the tough questions are asked, because going back to Bill Ruckelshaus and the huge giants of the Republican kind of conservation movement, guys like Bill Riley,
Bill Riley and Bill Ruckelshaus, too.
Yeah, and I'll put Christy Todd Whitman in that category. Even Secretary Leavitt, our Administrator Leavitt, was great. There's never been a nominee that questioned kind of sound science. Bill Riley had a great quote the other day. He was talking to a reporter, and he said that kind of the secular religion of EPA is predicated on sound science. And so if you have somebody that's attacking that, like, you undermine the entire mission, which is simply to protect public health and the environment. The 14 lawsuits are concerning, and obviously some of the industry relationships and the timing of some of the lawsuits with various contributions they're just questions that have to be answered. But we've never had someone that kind of attacked the underlying mission of the department or of the agency being put up for secretary or for administrator in the 47-year history of the organization. And so I think this is where, frankly, this should be bipartisan, though. I mean, there should be bipartisan questions, because if you have some giants on the right that were deeply involved in the Clean Air Act amendments of 1990, that were involved in these different landmark efforts that were Republican-led, that don't want to see those legacies undermined. And I'm just hoping that folks ask tough questions and actually listen to the answers.
I mean, do Republicans know their history when it comes to the history of the contribution of the Republican Party and Republican leaders to the what we now call the environmental movement? We call it the conservation movement. Then EPA came about under Richard Nixon.
No, exactly. I mean, and all the big acts. I mean, the Clean Air Act. I mean, and these were all. And the Clean Air Act was
Richard
basically.
Nixon.
In the Clean Air Act, I always use that as the example. Unanimous coming out of the Senate. I mean, Howard Baker working with Senator Muskie, and just the giants, the Magnuson and the others, and the giants of the time. But these were completely nonpartisan. Even in 1990, when they did the Clean Air Act amendments, completely bipartisan. And so we spent a lot of time trying to make this case, and really trying to have folks like Senator McCain, Senator Alexander, others that are institutionalists that were here that don't want to see President Reagan's legacy undermined. I mean, if you look at, it wasn't obviously perfect with his EPA or Interior, but there were huge steps that were made on things like ozone and things like acid rain. So I think it is missed because of the role of money and other things that have just kind of shifted the priorities. But they are undermining the legacy of half a dozen Republican presidents if they kind of continue going in this direction.
So do we have any idea whether Pruitt is an outlier, or do he and Donald Trump agree on these issues?
Yeah, I think
it's hard to know.
It's hard to
Trump,
know,
isn't it?
right? Because you still have the letters that Trump signed in 2009, encouraging the president to act on climate. I mean, there's other documents kind of in the pre-2012 era that were very kind of pro-science and pro-climate, and standing with the business community, saying let's have American leadership, so we're not just importing products from overseas. But the rhetoric on the stump around EPA, I mean, you would have in one part of a stump speech talking about we need to have clean air and clean water, and then the next kind of a paragraph, applause line would be around eliminating the EPA or eliminating all the regulations. And so we're trying to figure out how those statements fit with each other. And frankly, we just need commitments that he's going to uphold the law. I mean, just that the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act are incredibly important statutes. I don't care if you hunt or fish or just breathe or drink water, breathe air or drink water. But I mean, we just can't have kind of massive undermining of that from the agency. And I think that's what we're hoping to hear more about today.
Right. Again, with Trump, it's just hard. He certainly doesn't have a background as being out there on the environment, but either way, right? In either direction. I mean, he's just building stuff, right? I mean, making money.
Well, and I can't think of a time when former nominees of the former office holders have actually come out against nominees from their own party at the rate that we're seeing against Pruitt right now, with guys like Administrator Ruckelshaus, like Riley, like Christy Todd Whitman. I mean, we haven't seen that before, really. So, I mean, I think it just suggests that he's way outside the mainstream right now.
And what are you hearing from Republican senators? Any of them willing to buck a guy like Pruitt?
I think there is. I think there's a frustration. I mean, none of them are saying it publicly. They're all saying that they're going to keep their powder dry, and they want to listen to the hearing. They want to make sure that they're kind of reviewing all the disclosures and things like that. There's 50 questions that Senator Carper set up that have not been responded to yet, that they're hoping to get before the hearing. They didn't, and we're just hoping that very few folks on the Hill actually know Scott Pruitt. And so we're just saying, look, give him the tough vetting, ask the tough questions. But if he doesn't support sound science and upholding the law, he shouldn't be confirmed.
Right.